Hello and welcome to the very first Promethean AI Keynote. We thank you so much for being here with us. We hope you enjoyed this introductory glimpse into what a single artist and an artificial intelligence assistant can do together in a very short amount of time. We know you have a lot of questions, and we're happy to answer all of them tonight. At Promethean AI, our goal is pretty straightforward: creating the last interface humanity will ever need for building and interacting with virtual worlds, all the while continuously delivering useful and empowering tools every step of the way. But let's start with the most important thing. All of the world building that you have seen or will see of Promethean AI has not been programmed. There are never any nodes, script, code, or technical work of any kind. Instead, we are relying on the only thing that has proven more impactful to human productivity than programmable automation. In fact, this is how we program other people every single day, by teaching. Showing someone an example and saying, could you please do it like this, Bob? Only in this case, Bob is a piece of software. And even though this presentation is about the future of art, in some ways, it is also about the future of programming. Because with technology like this, anytime an artist needs a helping hand in drastically power amplifying their work, while also making sure their automation retains all of the special features that makes them unique, all they have to do is the one thing they love doing and do best: make some art. With artificial intelligence, one of the biggest questions on everyone's mind is how much data, training, and iteration does it require until it becomes useful? And our answer to all of these questions is yes. Depending on the semantic vertical saturation and amount of experience Promethean AI has in a particular area of expertise, your results will vary, but they will always be useful. We refer to this varying scale as the 5 levels of AI world building. Any of these levels can be of immense assistance to artists, and for a growing number of semantic verticals with no additional training. Now, these 5 levels are also going to define the structure of our presentation today. We hope you find these discoveries as fascinating and inspiring as we do working on them every single day. And with that, I'm happy to pass it on to Alex, all the way in sunny Finland, to tell us about the very first level. Take it away, Alex.
Thank you, Andrew. We at Promethean know you might be used to the tools that take an algorithm, expose a few inputs for you, and then tell you not to touch the outputs because you will break some dependencies. Well, that's not Promethean at all. Promethean works like you. Every time it looks at the scene, it comprehends what it sees. You just open any scene and put Promethean to work. There is no scene metadata, no custom Promethean files to save. And most importantly, absolute and complete freedom for you to inject your creative vision at any step of the process, never sacrificing the ability to employ your power amplification tools to continue iterating. In fact, that is one of our core pillars at Promethean, to never have you take any concessions, to have you accommodate our tools. We aspire to meet you where you are and not to tell you how to work. That is why, as the core of Promethean generation, we had to build perception first. With Promethean, perception comes in 2 steps. First, we comprehend your assets. In Unreal, for example, all we have to do is to select the assets in the content browser and ask Promethean to add them to the library. Once that is done, Promethean will offer you to proceed to the labeling step. Here we will use the latest in computer vision and natural language processing technology to assign robust labels to your objects and discrete type. Just let Promethean look at your assets and tell you what they are. And if it makes some mistake somewhere, just use text-based processing or a good old typing to correct it. All of this metadata is gonna come very handy in the world building process. Now, if you ever need a table, just ask Promethean for one. No need to open a browser ever again. Asset management and discoverability is a huge problem for pretty much every developer we talk to. Millions of dollars every year are lost looking for, redoing, failing to use the content that is just sitting there. So this step alone can be a big boon for the production. But what comes next? Well, now that Promethean is aware of your assets, it's going to have an easier time comprehending the whole scenes. And comprehension can even be abstract, like the command select something soft. This type of abstract comprehension and reasoning allows Promethean to advise you like no piece of software ever could before. Besides that, Promethean is DCC agnostic and can not only comprehend scenes dynamically in different applications, but also transfer that data between them. Promethean is purpose-built to support any custom engine or 3D editor with just a sliver of an API that needs to be written for each one. Because it's very important for us to be there for artists, whenever they are. Imagination begins with perception, Some even say you cannot dream of a face you've never seen before. And with this, I think we're ready to pass it on to Thomas to talk about level 2.
Now that our assets have labels, we could just click them in our asset browser and continue with the same workflow of after diving in folders and obsessing over the precise locations and names of objects, or we can focus on art. We have to build the most sophisticated asset management platform to realize that when you're building, when you're in the flow, an asset manager is actually what is holding you back. That's why, with the Promethean AI command line, you can just request any object you like and Promethean shall deliver.
Let's go through some command line basics. First thing to note is that if you press down in the empty command line, you're going to see a list of all of the commands with exhaustive tooltips and examples of how they can be used. Now the next simple thing to do is to type in a name of the asset you're looking for and let Promethean match you with the best suggestion. Note that you can do the same thing for materials just by adding the word material at the end. If you want to save some time, you can even drag and drop an asset straight from the completer tooltip. And like that wasn't enough, you can even type in an abstract search term, like fruits, to have Promethean offer you bananas, apples, and oranges without ever having to explicitly label them as such.
Converting high-level creative intent into actionable 3 content is one of our core pillars, and hopefully this was another good example of it in action. Now on to Dan, so I can talk about levels 3 and 4.
When someone says kitchen, you think table, counters, cabinets. When someone describes it as old, you definitely know that there is no electric rice cooker or a speaking refrigerator. Now imagine having someone by your side who always knows what goes where. Need to kickstart your imagination? Just ask Promethean what would go into an alchemist lab or a gas station. Let me explain. When you build a new environment, just type in a request into Promethean command line, and then you can immediately get to work using our advanced asset filtering functionality to help you narrow down the asset choice. Then you can select any asset that already has a label and use the suggest command to have Promethean offer you detail that will go with this object. You can also specify context for Promethean. Tell it where you are so that it knows to only suggest you assets that are appropriate for your current location. Use the variations command to get options for the currently selected asset and watch Promethean automatically adjust all of the surroundings. As soon as you start relying on Promethean for content advice, you immediately start wishing that it could also just place the objects for you. After all, it is so obvious to you where the object needs to go. And lucky for you, it does just that. Just double-click to have Promethean automatically place the object. And after you get used to that, you just wish it could place all of them. Use Detail Compositions command to have Promethean give you choices on how to fully dress up currently selected object. And finally, use Compositions For command to have Promethean construct full compositions for the object type of your choice. And that was it for levels 3 and 4. Please welcome Peter to tell you all about level 5 and teaching Promethean.
Level 5 is aptly named transportation, and that is because when semantic data is just right and the contexts are specific enough, Promethean AI is no longer a tool for building, but a transportation device. Just tell it where and when you want to be and it will take you there. This is that dream of virtual reality we all had as kids, and we are excited to be so far along this path already. And we can't wait to make Promethean aware of that many more things together with all of you. And that's it. These are the 5 levels of AI world building. Hopefully you can see that each of them are exceptionally useful in their own right, and even with level 5, you would still lean on elements of each of the levels to iterate, reconfigure, give feedback, and make requests. When building Promethean, we started at the very end, at level 5, and very quickly we realized that creativity lies not in converting a few words into a full location, but in converting your every creative desire into actionable 3D content. From building an entire forest to adding a cell phone to the nightstand in front of you. All of these are equally important for you to be able to forget about your tools and technology and to focus on your art. Speaking of art, We keep talking about how that is all you need to train Promethean. Let's see how it's done. Teaching Promethean new tricks is extremely easy. Just enter the memorize command. Promethean will analyze your scene and visualize the current hierarchical representation. If you want Promethean to ignore certain objects, just select them and ask Promethean to ignore. Now, in order to understand Promethean AI, it's extremely important to understand the concept of semantic groups. A semantic group is when a bunch of objects become a whole new object onto itself. For example, here we have tents, a picnic table, and a campfire, but all together they represent a camping site. So let's select all of these top-level objects and ask Promethean to group them as a camping site. If you memorize again, you're going to see your changes reflected in the hierarchy. If you want to tweak any of the hierarchical relationships, just adjust them directly in your 3D editor and then run the memorize command again. Once you've confirmed that your scene structure looks correct, hit next to validate the scene tags. Tags describe the differences in the same object. Using them, you can for example teach Promethean to differentiate a hobbit camp from an elf camp. To tag an individual object, just use the tag command. You can also tag an entire file by putting the tags in the file name and separating them with a double dash. And that's it. Click Memorize. Now that we've taught Promethean to build a camping site, we can create a new scene and ask Promethean to build a camping site using its new knowledge. And there you have it. A great starting point made with no nodes and no code. Just artists building their most powerful tools through making art. This is technology speaking your language, and we're extremely excited to hear what you have to say. Now that you've seen the entire process, let's check out another demo of how all of this comes together.
We hope you enjoyed this world building section of our presentation, but that's not all Promethean AI has to offer. When you need a little bit more insight into your data, we have you covered like absolutely nothing else in the world. Please, welcome to the Promethean browser.
Now that you're familiar with Promethean AI world building, let's jump into our browser. To fire it up, just type in browser into the command line. In the browser, you will find all of your assets neatly laid out with tons of useful metadata available right at your fingertips. Unlike any other browser, all of the metadata is easily searchable using nothing more than simple natural language commands. For example, just click on that vertex attribute and type in around 6,000 to find just that, assets that have around 6,000 verts. And like that wasn't enough, you can easily keep layering on additional search terms. Our smart autocompleter will prompt you with searchable attributes and known values to make sure you have all the necessary information right at your fingertips. So as you can see here, in just a few clicks we have found all the chair objects that have exactly 2 materials and around 6,000 vertices. By default, every search term narrows down your search, but with a simple click you can make the term be additive, allowing you, for example, to quickly reveal all of your chairs and tables that belong in a kitchen. But hold on to your seats, because text-based metadata search is just the tip of the iceberg of what the Promethean browser can do. For example, you can forego all the labels and just ask Promethean to find things that look similar. Or just ask for assets of a particular color, and maybe similar in size to this one. The browser supports any number of customizable asset types, all equipped with fully customizable attributes and widgets as well. And of course, if you ever miss it, a good old folder tree dynamically connected to your selection. Now this one is going to be really interesting. You know how every catalog or store interface only ever show you whether the assets on screen fit the search term or not? Well, we at Promethean thought that it's a huge waste of space because your data has a lot of dimensions to it, and sometimes you want to know many things at once. That's where the visualization modes come in. Just click any of these small buttons next to an attribute to see Promethean use this attribute for visualization. For example, here we just changed the size of all the asset nodes to reflect how many vertices each of them has. Now we can do the same for color. Your value is mapped from a cool blue to a hot red so you know exactly where your assets lie. And of course layout. In this particular case, the further from the center the node is, the higher the value of the attribute. Now let's imagine a practical situation. You're an artist and you're trying to pick out which asset to use from your library. First, let's see how all of them relate to each other by size. Now let's highlight the material count with color so we know the expensive ones. Now let's map the size directly to the distance between the nodes so we know exactly by how much they differ. As you've already guessed, you can apply the same logic to your entire library, allowing you to easily find assets that don't fit a very particular criteria. How about all assets over 2,000 faces? Easy. Now let's find the worst offenders by mapping the amount of faces directly to the distance from center. That one chair looks like it's definitely over budget. And finally, the nerdiest visualization mode of all, the graph. Want to see how many faces your assets had on average when added over time? Easy. How about just this month's? Not a problem. And added by yours truly? Just type in the name. That is the beauty of user-driven visualization of fully customizable data attributes. It will give you answers to the questions you didn't even know you had. We hope you enjoyed this quick look at the cutting-edge data visualization capabilities in the Promethean AI asset browser.
Organizing an art production is a giant effort, but I think we found something about how Promethean can be really great at keeping your entire team on the same page. We noticed that sometimes you want to share the assets that you find in the library with your teammates. That's exactly when palettes come into play. Just drag and drop a few assets and make a note. And yes, we didn't stop just on assets. Palettes is the place where you can lay out any nodes and files, group them together and annotate however you like. In the palette you can store anything from your reference images, GIFs, YouTube videos, to your teammates who you can message directly from the palette, to the actual levels you can open, related web pages, and links to the other palettes like an art guide, for example. And surely you can organize the materials and meshes you agreed to use with your team in this level. What's more, you can not only store, but use those assets directly in your level, like adding meshes or applying materials that you selected from your library. On the other hand, you can add the meshes that you found during the building process to your handy palette to reuse them later. And what's even better, all of this data is dynamically shared across your team, so it can be curated by the art director live, allowing everyone to quite literally stay on the same page. Also, if you subscribe to the palette you are interested in, Promethean will kindly notify you about the changes your teammates made. In fact, it's been so useful that we moved most of our documentation to the palettes as well. Here is a nice GIF with some cats to show you how easy it is to add anything you want right to the palette.
Coordination and effective content management is profoundly important to any production, something that has only been rendered more important during recent global transition to remote work. So we decided to step up and help. Aside from managing your regular production assets, Promethean offers full source asset labeling and management, as well as cloud storage and download, all neatly integrated into the most convenient UI, which is our asset browser. If you want Promethean to analyze your source assets and upload them to the cloud, all you have to do is point Promethean to a folder of assets, or just loose files, and have him go at it. As you can see, it will automatically parse your assets and assign the most representative images as thumbnails. It will pick them from available images first, but it will also automatically kick off all 3D file preview generation. As those 3D previews start rolling in, you will see Promethean intelligently reevaluate what is the most representative thumbnail for a given asset. Something else you might notice is that even though those files didn't belong to a given folder, they'll be automatically grouped into assets. After all the previews have been generated, you can check some of the assets that you'll think could use a better thumbnail and then just drag and drop to assign the right one. You can equally as easily rearrange the source file asset category if you believe it belongs in a different one. From here, you can take a quick look at all of the assets descriptions and see if there's anything you'd like to tweak. For example, you can remove a word or you can trigger computer vision to automatically assign a new description. From this point, all we have to do is click Next and Promethean will process all of your assets and upload them to the cloud. And that's it. From here on, all of the data you're seeing is being dynamically downloaded from the cloud, so you can share this with anybody in the world and they will immediately see what you see. Or you can get to analyzing your content right away. For example, we need to find an asset that has wood and also has a substance designer file. As you can see, Promethean immediately offers us two options, and we can take a quick stock of the materials to see which one we like, and then immediately download the asset. We are very excited for you to take full advantage of this and share all of your source assets and save a ton of time while also empowering everybody on your team. We can't wait to see what you do with this. And that's all it takes to easily share your source assets in the cloud with Promethean. Now that we've looked at some pretty technical things, let's take a little break and enjoy a few more highlights of AI world building.
Il me semble que ce matin le soleil est un peu moins brillant. Serait-ce la fin des vacances, la fin de l'insouciance? Il me semble que ce matin le soleil peine à colorer le ciel. Voudrais prolonger les vacances, partir en convalescence. Les nuits sont douces à l'abri du vent. Sur mon hamac, loin du tarmac, je fais durer ces quelques notes d'été. Et toi, sous ton chapeau de paille, tu ris et tu joues avec un éventail te fichant de la fin de l'été. Tu t'impatientes déjà de la rentrée. Les nuits sont douces à l'abri du vent. Sur mon hamac, loin du tarmac, je fais durer ces quelques notes d'été. Et toi, sous ton chapeau de paille, tu ris et tu joues avec un éventail te fichant de la fin de l'été. Tu t'impatientes déjà de la rentrée. Les nuits sont douces à l'abri du vent. Sur mon hamac, loin du tarmac, je fais durer ces quelques notes d'été. Et toi, sous ton chapeau de paille, tu ris et tu joues avec un éventail te fichant de la fin de l'été. Tu t'impatientes déjà de la rentrée. Que ce matin le soleil est un peu moins brillant. Serait-ce la fin des vacances, la fin de l'insouciance, jusqu'à l'été prochain?
Anyone who has ever told you that artists need to be more technical does not fully appreciate how much commitment and how much time it really takes to be good at art. Not decent, not even employable, but good. And no one who has ever set out to be an artist set out to be anything less than great. And we are excited to build technology that respects that, because you deserve no less. Hopefully today we have proven to you that there is no need for a future where artists will have to be more technical, because technology can be a lot more artistic instead. Now, we still have a long road ahead of us. We set out to teach a computer about how everything in the universe relates to everything else, and not just our universe, but every universe ever imagined. This will keep us busy for years to come. And while our enterprise partnerships have been incredibly fulfilling, we want it to be useful to more people sooner. We debated internally whether we should start rolling out a public version through more closed alphas and betas, but decided against it. Instead, starting today, we're going to have a public build of Promethean AI tools available on our website at all times. It's not the full version yet. It's still in beta. There's no shortage of things. We're constantly adding and improving, but we wanted you to be a part of the process. As of right now, parts of level 1 and 2, asset ingestion, command line search, asset browser, as well as all of the palette functionality are going to be available free of charge. We'll start the rollout with Unreal Engine, Maya will shortly, then 3ds Max, and then Blender. And from there, we aim to come out with a public version of level 3 this year, with a whole bunch of extremely exciting additional functionality that we didn't even get to talk about today. So if you're feeling like being on the cutting edge of technological progress and don't mind a few rough edges, we'd love for you to be a part of our community and yell at us every day to keep delivering those updates and improving the things you care about. That's why we get out of bed every morning. And for our enterprise partners, all of our functionality is fully unlocked with a ton of additional features and exposed deployment customization and training opportunities. You can find more detailed breakdowns and application forms on our website. But that's not all. As you can hopefully tell from this presentation, we put immense focus on good art at Promethean AI. Our goal is not to make software that solves technical problems or knows how to place a chair by a desk. Our goal is to empower everyone to be a better artist, which prompted an initiative that internally we're all very excited about. Starting today, we are opening applications for our Environment Art internship program. Over the course of 2 to 3 months, a group of intern environment artists will be producing portfolio pieces not unlike the ones you've seen in this very keynote, under the supervision of our seasoned team members, who have shipped a number of some of the most celebrated games out there. Just one more way we're looking to be of help while also gaining valuable insight into making improving as an artist a better, faster, and more fulfilling experience for everyone. And that's it. We thank you so much for your time today. Hopefully, we managed to satiate your curiosity just a little bit. We're beyond excited to be of help in your creative endeavors and are looking forward to putting on more presentations just like this. We have so many more exciting things to reveal. Take care and stay safe. Oh, and one more thing. When we build technology, not compromising for where we are today, but rather for what we know is going to be inevitable in the future. With no interfaces to learn and no barriers to entry, fascinating things become possible. We hope you enjoy this one more glimpse into the present. Thank you so much.
Promethean, build me a modern downtown office. Load nature background. Load downtown background. Color the wall red. Snap to the wall. Center the picture frame on the couch. Add a laptop. Face the table. Suggest variations. This one. Thanks. Select lounge area. Rotate. Rotate counterclockwise. Snap to the wall. Move the trash bin to the door. Add an office chair to the desk. Much bigger. Face the desk. Add a computer to the desk. Select everything on top of the desk. Make it 90s themed. Assign 90s carpet material. Turn on the monitor. Make everything 70s themed. Remove the laptop. Replace the TV stand with a flip chart. Add an ashtray to the table. Suggest materials. This one. This one. Okay, this one. Remove the cell phone. Replace the computer with a typewriter. Scatter paper around the desk. Suggest variations. This one. Thank you. Let's try a Citizen Kane poster here. Try a red shoes poster here. Load an afternoon downtown background.